Hey, welcome to Keight Krafts. I'm Kate. Today I would like to share with you a very cozy card. Let's get started. So to kick things off, we are going to do a little one layer stamping here. So I've got a piece of acetate and I'm going to use that kind of as my leveler, so to speak. And I mean, this kind of gets a little out of hand after the while, but I try my very best to kind of keep in tune with what I'm doing here. And what I am doing here is we are going to be layering stamps on top of each other. Yeah, that's right. I'm going to attempt to make a one-layered stamp mask card, or whatever you want to call it. I recently purchased the Den Sweet Den, and this has been on my list for quite some time. I actually didn't have it, and I don't have the die set for the den itself, the bear den. I'm not sure what it's called offhand, but that's on my list of things to get. So, yeah. I finally got the bears and I'm quite happy about getting them, and I was so happy that I thought I would do a layered stamp masking technique here. And if you don't know what a layered stamp masking technique is, welcome to the insanity. Stamp masking is basically where you stamp out some images and then you mask them with stamped images that you've cut out on some full stick post-it note, and then you stamp over top of it, and then you cover that with full stick post-it note, and then you stamp over it, and so on and so forth until the insanity ends and you pray and hope and cross your fingers, toes, eyes, and anything else you could possibly cross, and hope that you got everything laid out the way you wanted it, because this was a lot of work. I mean, it was fun trying to figure out the process, but at the same time, this isn't a card that I do often. This is quite an involved piece of work. I know I've seen the likes of Jessica Squirrel somehow master this beautifully, and I was inspired by one of her cards to try the stamp masking technique again because it's been quite some time. So you could see here I started off with the book, and then we've got the little baby bear that's taking a nap, and then we've got the big bear that's sitting in front of the baby bear, and now we're just going to line up the little couch. The couch is from a Christmas set with the window. Oh shucks, what's it called now? Oh, window scene winter. And we have the Den Sweet Den. I'll be working with You're a Keeper for a little end table. I'm using the beehive as an end table, yes. And then we have the stitched oval stackables, the outside in stitched rectangle, favorite flannel in London fog, sugar cookie ink, walnut ink, jet black alcohol ink, and these are all the ones that I will use in today's card. So you can see from the You're a Keeper, I'm going to use the beehive as an end table. I wasn't looking for furniture to use in this scene, and I have to squeeze it all into that oval. I should have moved it over just a smidge more so I could get more in the scene properly, but it is what it is. This is a trial and error kind of thing. You gotta hope for the best, that you're getting it all into where you need it to be. So I'm just gonna stamp that where that is, and once I've got that stamped out, we've added our little mask there, and then we've got a little lamp from the Den Sweet 10, and I'm gonna somehow try to manage to squeeze all of that in there. So that's why I've got that stamp mask. So you won't see the bottom of the lamp or the side of the lamp because it'll be covered by the couch. And fingers crossed, I'll mash that down. I'll remove my little sheet there, and then I'll grab my ink, and then I'll ink that up. So as you go, you keep building your layers, you keep building your scenes, and then once you're all done with that, you get to reveal it all, which is quite magical because that's that's where it all pays off. So the little Den Sweet Den frame that comes in it, I've gone ahead and stamped that out, and I want to line that up as I don't want the den in it. I want to do something else. So we're going to line that up the best we can, and then we are going to take off the little frame bit, so that way I don't stamp out the Den Sweet Den, but I have the little frame bit, if you know what I mean, if that makes sense. So once I've got that stamped out, I will be able to go over it with something else. So I'll stamp that out a second time, and then we'll slightly peel off that little bit. And then what we're going to do is we're going to create another mask because I don't know what I did with that one. Oh, this is what I wanted to do because the stamp that I'm going to be using is a lot bigger than the area that I need to stamp on. So I've stamped that out onto a full stick Post-it note, and I'm taking my utility knife here, my little craft knife, and I'm very carefully cutting out that den sweet den. So that way I've got a window mask, so to speak. So I'll line that up, and then I will go ahead and I will take the rainy day bear. I think he is just the cutest. And I'll line him up in that frame. I'll take my ink and then I'll stamp him down into that little window right there. So it's kind of like you got a little picture of the sleeping bear in behind. So once I've got that covered up, we are going to go in with our ink. And that ink, what I said that was, what did I say that was? I said that was sugar cookie ink. So I'm really trying to venture out and use the Lawn Fawn inks. At the time of this recording, I have the last ink coming to me because, you know, full set syndrome is a serious ordeal, and I had to have it. And plus, back in January, it was my birthday, so I figured while they were having that little sale on in January, I would hit that and use the extra 10% off to further discount my impulse buy. And I am still waiting for that to show up in the mail. Now, generally, anything I order from Lawn Fawn takes anywhere between 3 to 6 weeks because it is coming from California and that goes all the way up to British Columbia, and then that has to come all the way back over to Ontario. So it's quite the long haul for me to order from Lawn Fawn. So I don't get to do it that often. So I see it as a big treat for me to be able to order from Lawn Fawn because you can't always get certain items here in Canada. So I save it for special occasions. And yeah, so that's what I did there. So I'm waiting on my last set of inks. And this ink I am going in is the Lawn Fawn Walnut Ink. And this is going to be our ground base here. I'm going a little bit darker underneath the couch and the books and the end table slash beehive just to give it a little bit of shadow and lightly bringing that out to the edges because we're going to be using the oval stitch die to cut this out. That's why I kept bringing it back in. So I'm just going to go ahead and darken that up a little bit more with what I have on my brush, and then I'm going to bring in some of that sugar cookie just to lighten around the edges, just to kind of give it a little bit of a gradient. I mean, I might be going overboard with this. I don't know. You can tell me in the comments below what your experience is with dealing with dye inks. But I had a lot of fun doing this one, despite being so involved. So once I've got all that out of the way, I'm going to peel off that, and you can kind of see here I've got a little bit of a white area, and I'm just going to take what's left on my brush and bring that up just a smidge, just to give you a little bit of a shadow behind everything at the bottom. So once I've done that, now it is time to put another magnet on. What am I doing here? Oh, I know what I'm doing here. Excuse me. I'm taking my T-square ruler, and then I'm going to take a micron pen, I believe. Yep, I'm going to take my micron pen, and we are just going to draw a little line right across that to the two shades of brown, and that'll be like our little, what do you call them, baseboard, I guess you could say. And then I remembered, oh yeah, I forgot the stinking book. So I'm going to have to figure out how I want to do the book here. So I'm going to peel off this mask, and then what we're going to do is we are going to cut out, as best as we possibly can, that book. So I'm just going to go around the paws here of the bear, and I'm just going to cut along the outside edge of that book line. But I want to leave the paws in because I want to make sure that it looks like this bear is holding a book and reading. Like maybe this is a mama bear and she was reading the little baby bear a bedtime story, and the little baby bear decided that, it was time for bed, but not bed because the little baby bear decided to fall asleep on the couch, and then mama bear would have to bring little baby bear to bed once the story was over. Or, they could have been watching a movie while mama was reading and the little baby bear fell asleep. They could tell any kind of story when you look at it. So once I've got that cut out, I'm going to remove that little full stick post-it note from my table there, and then we're going to stamp out that book. I'm going to grab my little pressure tool here, and we're going to give it another little stamp so I get a crisp image. And now I can take that off and look at how cute that is. Any lines that I may have missed, I can go in with my Micron pen because this is the jet black ink that I'm using by Fawn, and I can just tidy up all those little lines that I may have missed. So now that we're taking off all of these little full stick post-it notes, you can really see this scene come together, and I think it is just so cute. I mean, those little bears, the bears. I don't know if you remember that Saturday Night Live episode back in the 90s while they're all sitting around the table and, da bears. That's what I kept thinking the whole time I'm recording this. So I've gone ahead and colored my images, and I've gone ahead and cut out an oval stitch. And because I hate to waste all of that flannel paper, I'm going to cut out the middle of it for another project. And nobody will ever know except, for you and I and whoever watches this video. And that way I can just cover that up with the larger oval stitch and I still can enjoy that paper in another project. So once I'm happy with where it needs to be, what I'm going to do is I'm going to glue this down with some glue, and we are just going to go around the edges and make sure that I can get some glue out of there. And once I've got that all glued around, we are going to flip this over. Now, I probably could have done the glue around the edge of the pattern paper, and then that way I wouldn't have gotten glue all over the backside of my table or the card, or you know what I mean. So anyway, I thought maybe I could prop this up with a little bit of foam tape. So I'm going in with some of these squares that I have. You can use any squares, but I like the thin squares for this, just to give it a little bit of pop off the page or lift off the page. So once I've gone ahead and peeled off all of the little release squares, we're going to add a little bit of glue to double stick everything, and then I am going to make sure that I'm putting this on my card properly, and I'm going to stand above my project. That way I can get an eyeball of the corners, so I've got this cute little white border around it. And once that's done, we can go in with a little bit of embellishments. So I've got my black glazed Sakura pen, and we are just going to add a little bit of dots to the noses and the eyes and that little frame. And then we'll go in with a white Uniball gel pen. I have a love-hate relationship with white gel pens because I can never get them to work properly. And I know you guys have given me tips before, and I often forget, so if you have any more tips, feel free to reiterate them, because I always have a hard time with the white gel pens. Even though I love the look of them, it's a love-hate relationship. So sometimes you see me use them, sometimes you don't. It all depends on what kind of mood that I'm in, and I was feeling a little bold for this one, so I'm just going around my images here and, not really paying too much mind, just trying to add little bits of detail with them around the lamp and then around the end table slash beehive, and then I will add a little bit more because why not? And then I think what I'll do is I'll bring in another gel pen. I have a finer gel pen. This one my friend Liz sent me from Let's Get Lizical, and she sent me a gold one too. I don't know where she got them. Maybe if she's watching, she could drop a comment down below and, let you guys know where they came from, because this one's a really fine tip one, and I find it works really nice with small images. So, I don't know, maybe Liz will tell us in the comments. Hi, Liz! So I'm just going to give the books a little bit of a dots and dashes, and then once I'm happy with how many dots and dashes all of my little images have, I think my card is done. I think. Yep, I think my card is done. So if you've enjoyed today's program and you think I've earned it, please give it a like. I also welcome you to subscribe. And as always, thanks for hanging out with me today. Take care.